Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, what I'll be doing is breaking down a sales conversation that I had that in 34 minutes made me $2,239. Okay? If you don't know who I am, my name is Christian Polk. So I've been in online sales for 4 years. I've closed over $6 million in sales. I've sold B2B, B2C, and for the past 2 years, I've also been a sales coach where I've helped thousands of clients ask better questions, overcome objections, and make more commissions. So the reason why I wanted to dissect this call is because a lot of clients that I've been talking to, one big issue that they'll run into is they're good at bringing out pain when somebody's pain is apparent. So if somebody's not making much money, they're in survival mode. So their pain's very apparent. But if somebody's already doing fairly well, compared to what? But if somebody's already doing fairly well, it's hard to bring out as much pain just because it's not as apparent. So what I've noticed for me and what's worked for me and my clients is how do we get them into the mindset of they need to go from good to the level of great. So in this call, I'll break down exactly how I did that with somebody who hopped on the call. They're already making $700,000 per year in sales, and they're looking to get to that $1.2 million per year in commissions. Now, hopefully this is going to be helpful. Take the concepts, really internalize them, use them to level up your sales game. If you have any particular questions, drop me a comment. Please like, subscribe, and if you want help from me personally, go ahead and reach out to me on Facebook. Okay, let's hop into the call. Okay, let's go ahead and then dive into this call. So just a little bit of context. So this person came in from a lower tier offer, and then they went ahead, booked in a call about getting any potential help, increasing their skill set in sales so they can make more money, all that fun stuff. And I'll just go ahead and take you through the call. Just side note on how scruffy I'm looking, right? But still not looking too bad.
Yep, I got you.
All righty, dude. We can definitely dive into everything because it looks like, you booked in here pretty recently, possibly, getting some up with your sales, making more commissions, all that fun stuff, right? Just so we're on the same page with everything, like what made you want to go ahead and book in the call today?
Well, I actually purchased the probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I, knowing that I need to, develop more skills and whatnot.
Yeah.
And just kind of kept eating at me. All right. So then, and I was here recently, in the last few weeks, I've been going through the script challenge videos that are part of that bundle. And on the website, it has that one-on-one.
Okay, so there's a couple things that are going through my mind right now. Now, number one, since he had already gotten some like lower tier products, like they're like $20, $50, he's going to be a little bit more bought into the actual like process, like what we do. But there's 6 months of inaction as far as actually looking into advanced training. So the biggest thing right now in my mind that I'm gonna have to deal with is really the inaction of like, well, why haven't we done something? So that's probably for this person going to be the biggest hill that we're going to have to climb. But I'm a little bit more reserved right now because I need to get more of a lay of the land before I can go into any of that.
Consultation. So.
Okay,
so
cool.
Yeah.
So then for you, but like, I guess besides, just always wanting to get better, that type of thing. Do you know what you'd be looking for as far as any training would go, like for you specifically?
Yeah. So, my part of the industry is totally different. Like, Jordan sent me over some videos.
Yeah.
Jeremy talking with insurance agents, whether they were doing life insurance, final expense, Medicare, whatever it was, right? Which is great. So those agents are actually my clients. So it's a little bit different. It's more B2B, right?
Yeah.
And for me, so I've been in this industry for 17 years.
Yeah.
And I built up my clientele. And
Uh-huh.
once you know contract with them, start working with them, it's more
Mhm.
service oriented, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've built that up,
Mhm.
but a lot of my agents that I work with are getting older, getting to that retirement age. And
Yeah.
obviously, if they retire and not producing, writing insurance
Yeah.
business, then there's
Mhm.
my commission, my revenue dries up.
Okay.
So I'm I've known that I need to get some fresh
Uh,
blood in as far as my clients, the agents I work with, right?
mhm. Yeah.
Um, and so it's been, and I was telling, I can't remember the guy's name yesterday, but telling
Uh-huh.
him yesterday that, it's been a long time since I've cold called or, just
Yeah. Right.
a sales call, right?
No, I get it.
But now I've hired some support staff to do the customer service stuff. So once I get the
Mhm.
sales done, as far as making an agreement to partner together with that insurance agent, I
Mhm.
can pass that off to my team, and then I can
Okay.
continue to get more and more agents.
Okay. So it just frees you up for like the
Yeah.
revenue generating side of things.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Definitely
Exactly.
definitely makes sense, man. Yeah. And so a couple things in my mind that's going on. Like one is a potential objection of, oh, like the things I've seen, it's a little bit different, so it needs to be addressed. And then also as well, like he's not currently doing anything right now that he needs help with. It's going to be more something in the future. So I need to understand, why does he feel like he needs help now before actually going out and trying things? We help I have to get on Jordan for that because we have tons of people like in the B2B space, right? So sending you over like the right case studies.
Which is
But
which is fine. Obviously,
yeah,
insurance. It's what everyone thinks you're dealing
yeah.
with clients, but with mine, it's just a little bit different.
No, I definitely get it, right? Yeah, B2B is going to have some different nuances there. But I guess like for you, so it's like you built up the business, I assume previously, like from doing like your cold calling and things like that. So what would have you looking into like any particular training rather than, just jump back in and just try to do what you had done before?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know,
And the reason why I ask that is because he's not currently doing something right now. So it's going to be hard for me to dig into what his current situation is because there's no pain there because he hasn't been doing anything. So I just need to understand like what would cause him to look for help rather than going out on his own, asking one of those rationale questions, because what I need right now is I need an actual problem. Then from there I can dig into that problem more and just have a better understanding of it.
I just, for me, so I
Mm-hmm.
started 21, 22 right out of college,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and it was just sink or swim type of a deal. Like,
Uh-huh.
here's a list of names, pretty much a phone book list of names, right?
Right.
And call. So it was okay. So I kind of read books and trained myself. Did
Mm-hmm.
I develop the right skills? No, I know that I did. I can talk to people, right? And
Yeah.
once you build that relationship, it's fine. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I can do better and more efficient at my service,
Okay.
right?
Okay. So then if we take a look back at the glory days, right? When we were cold calling, like I guess like what would come up in the calls, or like what did you really run into that makes you feel as though like maybe you didn't learn the right skills?
Um,
Okay, so that question is key. So he just told me he didn't learn the right skills, which is a problem. But the pain isn't typically in the problem, it's in the symptoms of a problem. For example, if you have a spine that's all out of whack, right? You're going to see a chiropractor. The real problem is your spine's all messed up. But the symptoms of that is back pain or neck pain or whatever it is. So that's where the real pain is in the symptoms. So if you take a look back, what makes you even say that you have that problem? Because what he's then going to tell me are what are the symptoms that is telling him that that's what the problem is. And that's where the pain is going to be.
um, yeah, I think, and it's tough to,
Yeah.
figure out exactly because it's probably been, you know, 7, 8 years since I've really just dove back in
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
cold called. Um, I guess it was more the just the the questions that I asked, just it was more
Uh-huh.
of leading them down the path that I thought I was leading them down, right?
Okay.
And looking back at it, the ones that
Uh-huh.
I didn't actually partner with, I could tell that there was the reluctancy, right?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I thought I was leading them down the path of, okay,
Yeah.
let's get you set up in this program, let's get you
Right.
contracted with this insurance carrier. And
Uh-huh.
it was more of throwing mud up on the wall, like number game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's always going to be a percentage that you're going to get. If you call a
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
numbers, you're going to get a percentage, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what it was. I was making 100 dials a day, just going.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like just turn and burn, right? Because like, what do you feel like? Maybe something like you're saying, or maybe not saying that could have been like, I guess, like triggering that resistance in their mind.
Um, yeah, it was.
And the reason why I'm asking that question, because now that I have the problem, the actual symptoms, like okay, it's causing resistance. What's actually causing that problem? Because my solution is going to change the cause of it. Okay. So I need to get him to admit that the cause of it was what he's saying. And the reason I frame the question that way is if he answers that question, he's buying into the frame that it was just something he was saying that was causing that resistance. So I asked the question in a way that's going to make him search in his mind to buy into the frame. It's something he's saying or not saying that is causing that resistance.
I guess so. My
Uh-huh.
whole worry was I don't want to waste my time
Yeah.
because with insurance agents, you've got,
Mm-hmm.
and the type of insurance that I work with is annuity
Mm-hmm.
policies. So
Yeah.
with annuity policies, you're dealing with an insurance agent that's, you know, I guess that, just looking at it is a higher level than just a regular life insurance or a final
Yeah.
expense advisor, right? These are
Mm-hmm.
guys that, all they have to do is, probably write 10 cases a year and
Mm-hmm.
they're making $2 million in revenue,
Yeah.
So, and so they're dealing with higher end, net
Mm-hmm.
worth clients on their end. So they're just a little bit higher. So, um, I would ask them. So my whole thing was, I don't want to waste my time with an insurance agent because I don't know if they're qualified, if they're a qualified
Mm-hmm.
annuity insurance agent. So, one of my first questions I'd ask, before I jump in, can I ask you, are you writing annuity business right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was more of, even though it's good to qualify, I think
Yeah.
it kind of turned some people off,
Yeah. Yeah. Because like when Yeah. we qualify people, who likes to be qualified?
right?
Right. So it's like, okay. So then for you, like now that we're getting back into it, some people are retiring, all that good stuff. Um, like, do you have like a timeline on when you're wanting to start, like, getting back on the phones, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I would like to get, I know that it's smart and,
Uh,
helping other agents build businesses, build their practices, right? I
yeah.
know that, okay, it's better to get it
Hmm.
put together somewhat before you just
Hmm.
go in there and continue to do the old habits, like revert back to the old habits, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is that 2 weeks and then, I get back on the phones? Is that a month?
Yeah. Hmm.
I know it doesn't have to be perfect because obviously,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to just be stagnant and not want to get on because I'm not ready,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I get it. Yeah.
So,
But get some of like the foundations first and then like start. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, dude. So then for you, okay, like then once we start making the dials, like let's say, um, you know, like 90, 180 days, like 3, 6 months in, like what are we actually looking to bring in, like from our efforts of cold calling it and bringing new business in?
So it's a kind of a waiting game. It's not a transactional,
Yeah.
uh, sequence there.
Uh-huh.
Um, so let's say you're an insurance agent that I want to work with. We have a
Hmm.
couple calls. second or third call. Okay, yep, we agree that we want to partner together. You're going to get contracted. I send you the contracting link. You go get contracted with a specific insurance company that we talked about. And then you still have to go out to clients and pitch,
sell them
sell them the annuity, right? And then once the annuity sells and the policy's issued, then I get a portion of the commission that is
that makes sense, man.
It could be, again, that's where it's like, do you want to waste a lot of time on an insurance agent that isn't going to actually sell?
Okay. Yeah.
Which is
so making sure like we're targeting those people who are going to actually get us a commission.
Yeah. And that's where I'm not necessarily worried about, qualifying all the insurance agents. I know if I can pick up the right skills, then I'm going to be able to figure it out and be like, okay, this guy's, he can do business, right? So let's go down this path. Or, hey, sorry, but it just doesn't look like, we are a good fit for each other, whatever it is, right? Type of a deal. So I want to, my whole goal that I can control is I can control the amount of agents that I get contracted, right?
Yeah.
And with my support staff now, and it's not all on my shoulders, I'd rather just get as many agents contracted, right? And then they can weed it out from there.
Okay. So like then for you, like how many agents are we looking to get contracted then?
So as in what time period? Like by
let's say by next 3-6 months, right? Like getting the skill set down, start these cold callings. Like what do we be looking to do?
Yeah, so I would like to.
So right now, what I've done is just understand a timeline of when he actually wants to start making the calls. Because if it's something that he wants to start 6 months from now, then it maybe needs to be addressed, but he wants to do it fairly soon. So just making sure I'm crossing all my T's, dotting the I's. Then from here, just be able to create a numbers gap of where he's currently at and really where he wants to be in terms of the actual income he's bringing in. Now, his is a little bit of a longer cycle as far as like how he makes his money, so it takes a little bit longer to get there, but that's what we're going to do right now.
I would like to add 30 agents in the next, let's just say by the end of the year.
Okay. So 30 agents by the end of the year. Yeah. And like typically, right? Like, cause it's going to vary. But like, what would an agent actually like bring on in terms of like what you'd be able to get from like in commissions on like a typical year? Cause like these are going to be like long-term relationships.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good question. So let's just say on average, our average agent is doing about $2 million of production. And again, over a 12-month period of time, right?
Yeah.
And then we average 2% commission to the our parent company. And then as a broker, I get 40% of that. So
okay, so 40% of the 2%?
Correct. Yeah. So let's just say $2 million. 2% of that's $40,000. And then I get 40% of that, which is $16,000.
Okay. So if we do 30, right? Now, again, we can't, like you said, you can't like hone in too much like on the actual like, quality of them. But let's say like if it just average around that range, we're adding 480,000 in terms of like commissions, like Correct. For that next year coming up.
Yeah.
So I guess like for you then, like what would that bring you like for the year, like in total commissions, we're able to add like 480?
Yeah. So if it just, if everything else stayed the same with the current agents that I have and added that, that would take me up to 1.1, 1.2.
Okay. So 1.1, 1.2. So around like God, if I can do math, around like 600-700 currently.
Yeah. Yeah, like last year was like around 740 or something like that.
Okay, so it's like 740. Yeah. And then like at that range, like has it just been like a steady increase or how long have you been kind of at that level?
Yeah, I would say probably it's been in that 650 plus to 800 over the last probably 4 or 5 years. Before that, it was the 350 to, the 550-ish.
Okay, so now I just got a little bit of a lay of the land. So he's been at a certain level for 4 or 5 years. Now he's doing good, but he's not at the level which he wants to be at, which is over 7 figures per year. So what I really need to do now, because I've been a bit reserved in this conversation, I need to start to understand like what's prevented him in the past and then actually shift his way of thinking. And typically how you do it with somebody who's at, 700, 600, and they're looking to get to that next stage, it's really being able to tie them up in their identity because they want to be that 7 figure guy. And it's not just because it's the money coming in, but there's more that comes with it for them. So you'll see in the conversation how I actually go about doing that.
And that's the thing is that as you build those relationships over time, it's just usually adding.
Yeah, it just increases, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like, because it's been around the same range for a bit. So what's prevented you maybe like in the past like 4 or 5 years of, I guess, like adding more like reps on to increase the sales and get to like that 1.2 range?
Lazy, you know.
Yeah.
You get complacent. You're making
Yeah.
$700,000 a year. It's like,
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
there's
You
not
can
a lot
get
of
comfortable,
motivation.
right?
Yeah,
No, I get it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. No, that definitely makes sense, man. Right. Because like when we're talking about like getting to like the 700 to the 1.2, right? We're basically talking about going from like good to great. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But have you ever heard the phrase like good is the enemy of great?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah. It's because it
yeah.
is comfortable. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
know it. I know.
yeah. And that's an easy frame you can put on somebody who's already doing well but wants to do better. Oh, so you're looking to go from like good to great, right? Oh, yeah, of course. Have you ever heard the phrase though, like, good is always the enemy of great? And they're like, oh, yeah, I have, or no, I haven't. It's like, well, it's like, why? It's the enemy of great because like good is comfortable, right? So you typically don't do enough to really push it to the next level. So you get buy-in on the fact that because they've been good, that's why they're not great right now because they've gotten comfortable. And it's something he's already admitted. So I don't need to really dig down too deep into it. But that's the frame that I put on him and he bought into it. And then we just really need to separate his identity of who he wants to be versus who he is now.
All right. Yeah.
So like, because I would say like the biggest thing is, man, especially when we're talking about, and I love talking to guys who like really want to hit like those 7 figures, right? Because it's like, yes, better skills, but a big thing is like being that 7 figure earner, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
that 7 figure earner, like you got to walk that shit, right? Like, dude, he has a different walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just comes down to for you, like, are you willing to become that guy, like that 7 figure earner, and like hold yourself to those standards?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think I am. I know that obviously it's a lot of work, and hey, I'm gonna
Mhm.
have to go back to pretty much to
Yeah.
school and
Yeah.
do the shit that I've had to do with other guys. Like, okay, we're gonna role play, we're gonna do this stuff, and
Yeah.
like I understand that, and I guess I'm humble enough to know that I have to do that, but then
hmm
also confident enough that hey, I'm gonna have to put in the work to get to that level.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. But if we take a look like on the other side, if we do just stay at good and we never get to great, like how does that feel on your end?
Well, it's fine for right now, but you know
Yeah.
that if you're stagnant, you're going backwards, right?
Right.
And that's always been in my head the last 2, 3 years. It's like, well, yeah, it's great, it's fine,
Uh-huh.
great living,
Right.
but again, that insurance agent, like there's multiple companies like my company out there
Yeah.
trying to get these insurance agents to
hmm
move away from me. I'm doing the same thing with them, right? They're
hmm
retiring, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm not adding new blood, then I'm going backwards
Okay.
eventually, right?
Yeah. So then what do you feel like you would need then, right? Like besides just like the cold calling process, like if we're gonna map out an actual training program to get you to, 7 figures as quick as possible, like what specific training do you feel like you'd actually need?
Um, yeah, cold calling is huge.
hmm
I guess the process,
Hmm.
looking at my specific, because obviously looking at the
Yeah.
script, the script videos,
Mhm.
it's unique, and so
Mhm.
okay, my process is this, and this is
Yeah.
how it, so looking at the
Uh-huh.
sales process and what would be the most efficient way to lead the agent down that path, right? I think.
Okay. So honing in that process and like why do you feel like that would be important to you?
Um,
Now, the reason I probe on that is because in the presentation, that's going to be a big thing that we help with. So he said, like, oh, like that would be something that would be helpful. So I want him to expand on the things that are going to then help me present later so I can get more ammo for the presentation.
if we do, because I've seen, personal
Uh huh.
experience with other insurance agents when they
Yeah.
develop a process that they do every single time with every
Hmm.
single client, they're successful. They're the ones that go from
Yeah.
2 million on average to $40 million of premium every year, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if I can, I know and that's a universal law, right?
Hmm.
That's in anything in business. If you have a process and you do it over and over and over again,
Right.
it will be successful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know I need to do the same thing for me, right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So then let's say like we're able to come in, put that process in place, right? Like at that point, we're talking about getting to like 1.2, 1.3 million like per year.
Yep.
Like and I'm sure like an extra like 500,000 like will be great, but I'm sure it's not going to be like life changing, right? Like if you're already at like that
Right.
700,000 like per year.
Right.
So I guess like what does that actually do for you to become like that seven-figure earner and start making like that type of income? Okay, so the reason why I did that is because at the end of the day, understand you have to understand somebody's motivations when they're at the point where it's like they're six, 700,000 plus, 800,000 plus per year. More money just for the sake of having more money isn't going to motivate them. And they're not at a point where more money takes them out of survival mode or even really takes them to the point where it's like they just buy nicer things. Not really. Typically, it comes down to their identity or their time is why they're looking to take it to the next level. So what I want to do is I want to sideswipe all that. Well, I just want to make more money just to make more money and get to the real root of why he wants to make more money, why he wants to take things to the next level. Why does he want to be that seven-figure earner? And that is the why that would then help him make that change.
Honestly, and I'm not looking at it as boom, I hit 1.2, hit my goal.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just
My thought is
sailing off to the
right,
sunset.
exactly. And
Yeah.
then get back to the same point that I'm at right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
right? My thought is, okay, I can do this. And if I can, and I know it's gonna a big word is master this, but if I can
Right,
master
yeah.
this, and then I can put and hire juniors of me, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
And put them into this same process through
Uh-huh.
the program, right? Then it's
It's all like,
limitless.
yeah, like at that point, we're like buying back our time.
That's the biggest thing is I right now, if I'm not around, then
Yeah.
eventually it's gonna die, right?
Right.
But if I can build the process and build the
Mm,
training with y'all,
yeah. Hmm.
then then it's limitless.
Yeah.
Then it's a asset that I can pass on as a legacy, right?
Absolutely, man. So you being able to take yourself out of the business, then what does that do for you personally? Okay. So if you just understood, like he wants to get more time back, but he also wants to build a legacy. Looking back on this call, I probably should have dug deeper into what does he mean by legacy and where does that drive to create a legacy actually come from? I feel like it would have gotten a little bit deeper. Okay. Just taking a look back at the call, but I do go more with the time, right? Because that's also going to be a big area, especially if you're busy all the time. Like you're having to deal with all these clients, then again, you want more time back. It's not the money, it's the fact that the money can buy you time. So that's what I'll dig into here.
Well, it's so I've got four kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Um, So, and they're getting to the point, like my
Mhm.
daughter's a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So like they're independent getting to that point. So,
Uh-huh.
I know it's going to take time to get to that where it's,
Yeah, yeah,
fine
yeah,
by
of
my
course.
time, right?
Hmm.
But at that point, yeah, it's really putting more of the time back into the family and being able to spend more of that time with the family.
Yeah. Okay. So then for you, if like the biggest thing is like, okay, like we're fighting like time, like how do we speed up that time, get our time back? Like if we don't learn how to like master this, like you're saying, like how much time do you think it like would take to get to a point where you can actually take yourself out of it?
You know, I would probably have to get to that point where I'm, fully retired. Yes, I've got
Yeah.
other investments and everything else like that. So
Yeah.
I think that would have to be like, 60, that,
Yeah.
it's going to take 10, 20
Yeah.
years,
So what would
So then after I get like a good future pace to the driver, then I need to just poke doubt into how is he going to be able to achieve that if he keeps on doing what he's doing now. And then the reality if he does stay the same.
be the like the consequences of that? Like, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, just kind of keep the same thing, like
right.
not being able to get your time back.
And that's, I guess for me, it's just like, that's
Mhm.
not satisfying. That's not fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you're slowly dying. That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that for sure, man. So time to make a change then.
It is. And,
Okay.
part of the process,
Hmm.
because clearly I've, I see the importance of the
Yeah.
style of
Hmm.
skills and sales and everything. In my mind, I see it like, okay, I've got to get my foundation set first, get
Yeah.
that, going, train others like me. But then
Hmm.
also, I would love to, obviously the insurance agents I partner with, they're in
Yeah.
sales, put
Yeah.
them right into an insurance agent,
Hmm.
process with y'all, and
And
then it's
then
go.
that's just more money for everybody, right?
That because that's what I do. So if an insurance agent, I can see that they've got potential, I'll pay for marketing for them. I'll do these other
Hmm.
things for them because I know that it's, if I put that dollar back into that vending
Yeah.
machine,
Yeah.
$5 is going to come back at me,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Same thing here. If I see that agent's got potential, I'll put them into a program like this all day long.
Yeah.
You know,
100%, man. I mean, yeah, because based off what you're telling me, especially when you're talking about really getting the cold calling process in place, like really getting more specific as far as like the structure for you personally, like what we're doing would definitely work for what you're looking for. So what I can do, man, if it would help, is I can take you through like how that process, like how it actually works, right? Like the actual structure, and then how we go ahead and actually apply it. Like would that help?
Right. Then I go from there. I ask for permission to go ahead and do the presentation. And then I run through the presentation, which I'll just go ahead and then skip here. And then I'll just go over. This is an objectionless close. So I'll show you again, presented the price.
Have a
And
couple
then,
different payment options around that, but it does add a little bit to the total. So most clients go ahead and pay it all at once. But typically, next steps would just be going ahead and organize the investment, and then we have an onboarding process that we can get access to the coaching, the training, and then we can start, close some more deals. So,
sure.
how would you like to proceed from here?
Yeah, that's fine. We can go forward with that. So
Okay, cool.
yeah,
all right, perfect. Went ahead, took payment, got them onboarded, and deal done, right? So all in under about 34 minutes. So a little bit of a review on that call and some big takeaways is you just have to understand like how to deal with prospects who are going to be at a little bit higher level when it comes to income. If you saw my other call review, I was dealing with somebody who was younger and was making less. There was a lot more challenging in reframing, especially at the beginning. With somebody who's going to be a little bit further on in their journey, they've already taken action to get them to a certain level. I'm a little bit more reserved at first, right? Really trying to understand the lay of the land before I go in and I start to really reframe their belief. Because what the biggest thing is for them is how do I actually shift their identity to become that 7-figure guy? So if you have any questions on this, you can go post them in the comments, leave a like, subscribe. And then what you can do as well, you can always message me on Facebook if you need any help, but check out my other videos where I break down my call and other people's calls as well. Hopefully this helps.